Josh joining us from other parts of the world. James, what's up? Max will be with us here in just a few minutes. But we are talking football tonight. And as we are less than 24 hours away from the spring game, we hadn't talked football in a little bit. So we're going to kind of dig into the current roster and talk about it. So, Josh, how are you? James, hope you all had a good day.
Hey man, I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Fantastic.
I'm doing good. Just got home from work, ready to talk some football.
Heck yeah.
So, before we dig into some of the guys they brought in this past year, back in December, January, how and both of you know ball really
Mhm.
well. What are your when you think of the Louisville football team in 2025 right now on April 10th? What are your thoughts?
So the first thing that I go with, I think at the LOS, you're in a good spot. Your skill position guys, you have the high level talent there. You're a little lacking on depth. And then from a defensive standpoint, linebacker core, you have one of the best linebacker cores in the country. Your D line's pretty solid. Secondary, again, lacking on depth. But a very high powered offense and a defense that's unproven.
James?
I can agree with you on the defense. The defense is littered with young talent. One guy I'm really excited to see get playing time this year is Wu. Wu is insane. I know we've had him since the class of 2023, but I think you'll actually see him get on the field a little bit more this season. Linebacking core, the linebacker room is just insane. It's the best linebacker room we've ever had. There's no questions about that. I'm pretty sure we all can agree on that one. Um, I think the wide receiver room's deep because you're talking about who's going to be your wide receiver three. You still got JoJo back there. You got Chris, who obviously is on the team. First year, he's going to be under scholarship. And Miller's looked good in the spring from what I've seen so far.
And Max, I know you just joined us. I asked them, I was like, before we dig into the guys they brought in for this year, what are your thoughts about the football team?
Um, the the best way I could put it is, I think you have possibly one of the best teams that's ever been assembled in Louisville. Um, but kind of like what you guys alluded to, there's still some like what ifs there. I think Josh hit the nail on the head. Like, it's an unproven defense where you lost some key parts. I mean, Ashton Gelati and Quincy Riley alone, losing those two, I mean, that is massive. Not to mention,
Those are Sunday guys.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you just lost two NFL guys. Like, losing that, I don't think that you can really put like a necessary like value on that, because it's invaluable. But yeah, overall, like, I think that this has the potential to be one of the best rosters ever compiled in Louisville. Um, the spring game. I'm looking forward to the spring game just to kind of see some of those question marks, mainly on defense. Like, we know Miller Moss can sling the ball. We know that the quarterback room is probably one of the deepest in the country. Um, there's some question marks on offense, sure, a very few,
Mm.
but there's a couple question marks on offense. I would say my focus is going to be on the defense, though.
One thing that we didn't mention was our offensive line room is insanely deep. I think you can
Oh,
go two,
dude,
three.
yeah. They have done such a good job building that room, and that's been a 3-year project to get it to where it is now. But they've done a phenomenal job with it.
Yeah.
One thing we didn't mention that I always like to bring up, special teams. That is a little concerning, in my opinion. I think the kicking game is a little. There's a lot of question marks there.
I actually had this conversation with somebody the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and I was mildly concerned with kicking. Um, from what I was told, because I was not able to make any practices, open practices this year. From what I was told, it's not as big of an issue as what I was making it out to be.
Cool.
Either in a similar position or possibly better than we were. I
I'll take
know
that.
we gave Brock a lot of shit. In the day, Brock was a better kicker than most kickers in the country. He was not Justin Tucker. But actually, no, I think he was more Justin Tucker.
This year, Justin Tucker. Yeah.
Well, I'm saying like he seemed more accurate and dialed in on longer kicks than like short kicks, and it was just like that's the thing that drove me insane about him. And like I love Brock Travested. I genuinely think that we gave him a lot of shit. I don't think it was genuinely warranted for as much shit as he got. But I'm curious. I want to see some kicks in the spring game.
Well, hopefully we're just scoring touchdowns and don't have to worry about it. But
yeah, I like extra points a lot more.
Yeah, well, I will say this: like one of the guys they brought in January from Akron, and we talked about him several months ago, but Bobby Golden, I think he brings a very unique aspect to the return game because he's pretty athletic and he's got some speed. If you look at, I think he was injured some last year, but if you look at, statistically in 2023, I mean, he was Akron's primary kick returner. Granted, Akron has not been very good for a long time, but still, he had almost 400 return yards on 17 kick returns. So, I think you put him with, you put him back there, for instance, I think he can provide that spark. And you obviously start to think, well, what could you do with him and Lacey back there? Like it gets really exciting. We saw what Lacey can do in the return game. You put Golden in there with it. You've got two dudes back there that can provide some excitement. And I don't know how much we'll see out of Golden, out of so much the offense, but I think that when they brought him in, just my mindset tells me that's going to be a guy that they can use a lot in special teams, whether it's punt or kick returns.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to go? So there's been no talks of a spring depth chart.
Yeah.
Which is whatever. The most recent one that anyone's put out. I know Josh has his own in Josh world, or Cardinal Companion world, I guess we could say. The Courier Journal put one out back in February. Do you guys want to look into it real quick and see where we agree, where we disagree?
Yeah, let's do it. It's February. The info's going to be a little old, but yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So, of course, take it with a grain of salt because it is what it is. But we can definitely pull it up. Start at quarterback, Miller Ross, Brady Allen. I'll be surprised if that sticks through the season, personally.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I think most people saw the teaser clip the football team put out. I mean, if you saw it, you Louisville football, you should know who's probably going to be quarterback too. I mean, it's
quarterback number 2 or quarterback number deuce is genuine, and that is something I'm going to stand on.
We're off to a hot start, CJ.
I know. Right here, I don't think anyone's going to debate this whatsoever. Chris Bell and Antonio Meeks. Well, let me look ahead. All right, so Chris Bell, Colin Lacey. Yeah, I went through that backwards. Chris Bell, Colin Lacey, Bobby Golden. It doesn't say wide receiver 1; it just says wide receiver. So whatever, I'll take that.
I don't disagree with that. I think the way things are set up right now, that wide receiver 3 position is going to be a very heavy rotation. Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me to see like Meeks and Golden maybe Chris Hughes really, really heavily involved there. Because you got to think more so your wide receiver 3 is going to be kind of like a flex slot. Obviously, like Collins going to play majority of the slot, but he doesn't have that slot speed, so it's going to flex into it. And that's a role that Golden could really thrive in. Sorry, I'm getting lost in the sauce here.
No, you're good. I expect to see like significantly more Chris Hughes this year.
Yeah.
I think he showed enough last year to make that jump.
I mean, we've said it plenty of times, but we don't beat Boston College without Chris Hughes.
No. I mean, from half the season last year, I felt like, and I'll say it again, this is a Chris Hughes fan page. I'm going to keep saying it. Love everything about it. Antonio Meeks, I know we've all been pretty big fans of Meeks. Happy to see him actually. I think Josh kind of hit the nail on the head. I think you're going to see these guys, like the two steady are Chris Bell and Colin Lacey, in my opinion. This is where I think you're going to see some of these names pop in as well, McWilliams and Meeks and Hughes.
And Josh and I did a show a couple weeks ago where we briefly touched on Wu, which James brought up earlier, Wu Spencer, and McWilliams from Minnesota. We briefly touched on both of those guys. So
Yeah, McWilliams, he's one I'm really excited about. It's just he kind of fits a mold that we don't exactly need right now, if that makes sense. Kind of that Chris Bell mold is what I would argue. And he's still a little raw. You got to think. I think he's only 18 still, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's got some time to develop. I haven't heard a whole lot about him going into spring, or first spring ball, which is kind of a good thing and a bad thing. You know, you're not hearing bad things, but you're not hearing great things. I think that's much more of like a guy that plays significant snaps, maybe 26. You know what I mean?
Well, he's a guy you can use situationally too, because he's a little bit bigger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, he can go in a red zone package and
right.
Do
I
your
mean,
thing.
it seems like just at least the last couple of years, Chris Bell was your bigger body wide receiver, and after that, you really didn't have that type of receiver. So, I think you can definitely use him situationally, and put him opposite of Chris Bell. You could have something there.
Yeah. Yep.
I have to buy $1 subscription really quick.
Okay. Well, let's talk about tight end real quick.
It had Nate Kuriski and Jalil Skinner.
I kind of agree with that. I don't know. You go first. You guys go first.
So
I think. Or yeah, go ahead, James.
So I talked earlier to Josh. I know. I think I said it to Brad as well. Dylan Mesman, he's going to be insane. He's really good on the OT7 route in high school. He's going to be really good for once he's actually cleared and ready to play. Someone that I haven't heard enough people talk about in the film that I have watched from the spring, the freshman tight end we got, he's adapting very quickly to college ball. Don't be shocked if he gets some time on the field this season. Was it Hauser?
Grant Hauser.
Yeah.
Grant Hauser. Yeah. No, I think Kuriski is your clear number one right now. Like very clear. And then after number one, it gets super murky. Again, it's kind of that thing that I said earlier where I think your front line, your top line depth, your top line guys and your skill position rooms are really solid. It's just a lot of really unproven depth. I think Mesman is going to be a very good collegiate player. He's been dealing with a little bit of an injury through spring ball. So that is what it is. And then you got Skinner. Skinner's a great blocker. He's going to be a guy that I can see getting some increased reps this year. And Mesman, I wouldn't be surprised if Mesman played at least a situational role on this team. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I mean, the kid has the wheels to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think to even be able to say that about, a kid his age, in a high level collegiate program. I think that's saying more than anything. I've been super high on Dylan Messman. That was a great pickup, in my opinion. Just hoping that we can actually see it play out.
Well, it's like Brad put it really good earlier. I don't remember if you put it on social media, if you were just saying it in private. But Dylan Messman is like that 4-star athlete that we always forget about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like he redshirted last year. And so, when that happens, especially in this day and age, it's easy to forget. But, I mean, that was a pretty big recruiting battle back when they got him. So, I think the fan base has forgotten that name, but hopefully this year they're going to remember. You can do a lot with the tight end room. You've got the tools to have a really good tight end room, because with Nate, you're going to see the same thing we've seen his whole career. He's going to be a target on a short yardage situation for a first down, and you're going to find him in the red zone. I mean, that's the type of player he is. So, how do you incorporate, some of these guys, say the same way you did with Mark Redmond, a guy that you can throw the ball to, 15 yards downfield and make a few plays. So, and that's why I think a guy like Skinner is a good example. We didn't really see him a whole lot last year, but, the word with him coming in was, he's got some athleticism that you can kind of move him around the offense, whether it be, in a slot or a hybrid wide receiver role, or that more traditional tight end role. So like all the tools are there. It's just a matter of, putting them in the right place and, figuring out, how you're going to use them.
Yeah.
Now we got to highlight the one thing that when we look at the offense, who is playing fullback, boys?
Man, this is an answer I've been looking long and wide for. I don't know, honestly. I think it'll probably be a walk-on, to be honest. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's hard because that's one of those positions, like, we actually really use fullbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think like people realize that enough, but we use them quite a bit here. And it's not a position group that's exactly easy to get out of the portal. It's not even easy to get out of high school recruiting anymore.
Yeah, because it's just it's a position that's used so little nowadays.
Like, I think the other day I was looking on 247, and it's like they have less than like 100 kids rated as a fullback coming out of high school. None of them are above 3 stars. They just don't. It's like NCAA. When you play NCAA, it's all 3-star fullbacks. Like, it's the same thing. You just don't see it. So I'm really looking forward to see who steps up into that role. I think we should know that tomorrow night. Like, you'll have pretty good understanding, because, like, tomorrow night they'll run their very, very basic concepts, and conveniently fullbacks are a part of that.
That they are, and we know what Dwayne Martin meant to the offense the last few years. So,
oh, dude, baller.
I mean, he was the pathway for a lot of those exciting runs we saw to the backfield the last 2 years. So, he just did not get enough credit.
Really solid in the passing game, also.
Yeah, he was.
I mean,
and we were talking about the tight end room. That's one question mark I have, is how, because like you look at last year's room. I mean, Mark Redmond, prime example. He was an incredible blocker, like on a lot of those design run plays. I mean, he was one of those guys that opened up some room as well. So where does how does that factor into the tight end room also? Like, because that's a big part of this offense with the tight ends. I mean, Nate's a good blocker, but outside of him, because I mean, you go back, the bowl game was a prime example. I'm pretty sure it was Redmond, but the long run that Duke had in the second half in that game, it was set up by Mark Redmond on the outside. I mean, it was a great block, set it up and let him get, I think it was like a 30 or 40-yard run down the field. So, there's a lot of those little things that it's hard to know the answer to until you see it on the field, and we're not going to know everything tomorrow, but I think we will have a better idea about the fullback position tomorrow.
And
Yeah.
the highlight the blocking, even in the Kentucky game. Like Martin was Kentucky had good leverage on a play. I think it was one of Duke's touchdowns. Kentucky was in a good place, and Martin came down and just bowled over like two people.
The last two football games that Louisville played, the blocking was, if you were to put together a presentation on how to block in the game of football, the last two games, Louisville executed that to perfection.
Yeah.
I mean, as good as the offensive line was last year, just the offense as a general, the last two games, it was spectacular. And any football fan who lives and breathes it should go back and watch those two games, because it was without a doubt two of the best blocking performances I've seen out of a offense collectively in a long time.
Yeah. One thing I just want to throw to the conversation that we haven't disclosed yet, just a heads up for everybody watching, the spring game will not be on TV this year. Just fair warning to everyone, it's going to be radio broadcast only, and they moved the time. It's at 6 p.m. now.
Yep, 6 o'clock.
So
there's going to be, I think 93.9 is going to have some stuff on all the shows all day tomorrow. Brahm's going to be on the early show in the morning. So, anybody that listens on the way to work, I think he's going on at 8 tomorrow. So,
okay.
There should be, Louisville football related coverage most of the day on 93.9 tomorrow. So,
yeah.
And I'm sure I don't know. The ACC may put a replay of the game out at some point.
I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Because in the past it has been on TV, but then of course they do their series on the ACC network all summer where they play the spring games 100 times.
Yeah.
So, I watched a little bit of Clemson's this past weekend, so theirs was on TV.
All right. Computer did not like me there for a minute, so I'm gonna try to. But I did fix this. So let's get back to the CJ's depth chart. You guys had our offensive lineman. That's where I think I have probably the least amount of concern. Is that fair?
Well, it's fair because you have the most underrated offensive line coach in the country.
And I think you have 10 guys that can start just about anywhere in P4.
I agree.
I mean, we're talking about a unit, and this is one thing that I've kind of mentioned briefly, but any Louisville fan watching, it's going to be hard to appreciate the offensive line this coming year just because of how good last year's group was. I mean, we're talking about a group that in 7 of the 13 games they played, they didn't allow a single sack, and they only gave up 14 or 15 sacks on the year. So, we need to somewhat take that, take this year's team, this year's offensive line, keep that in perspective, because they can still be a really, really good unit. But at the same time, it's going to be really difficult to match what last year's group did. I mean, yes. And people forget too, 2 years ago, that offensive line that we went to the ACC championship with still gave up 30 plus sacks. So, I mean, it's just the difference in the 2 years was crazy with that unit. But I think this year's group, you probably have as much, if not more depth than you've had the last 2 years at that position.
Well, for sure. And I think you bring back a lot of what you had last year. And that gives you a little bit more continuity with the running backs. They know each other. They know how to run the offense. They know what the scheme is. And they just know how to play their role.
Yeah, no, having Trevante back, Musa. I mean, you can go down this list, and I'm like, I trust every single one of these guys. Protect him.
Josh, who's your of the newcomers on the offensive line this year?
Mm-hmm.
Who's your one guy that's you need to watch him?
I cannot remember the kid's name to save my life right now, so I'm sorry. It's the kid that played at St. X. I believe it came from SEMO.
I was going to say Carter.
Yeah, Carter. That kid's going to be I think he has the potential to be a multi-year starter. I don't think he doesn't start this year, but I think after the season, he could be something really special. Really like Jordan Church. I like Jordan Church 2 years ago. I still like Jordan Church. Mosa's amazing. We've seen his athletic ability. Just offense. It's a very solid unit all around.
Yeah, no, I think this is probably one of the places that I have the least amount of concern. And I think if you've got an offensive line that can protect, Miller Moss, and I'm just thrilled. I don't know if Miller Moss has had an offensive line to be able to protect him like he's about to have.
Yeah, I agree. We didn't really talk that much about Moss earlier. Just to throw in a little thing, the one thing that I've constantly read about Moss from Pac-12 people is two things. If Moss has the offensive line to protect him, and if Moss plays in an offensive scheme that doesn't overcomplicate reads, he's going to be an all-star. And, I think we got both those things right here.
Yeah.
Well, if you watch the film from last year, you can look at the stats if you don't. But USC had had the worst offensive line in P4. I know they were like bottom 3 in the Big Ten, and I think Miller got sacked 20 plus times in 7 games. He didn't really have much of a chance. He had the weapons, but he didn't really have time back there. I don't think that'll be an issue this season.
Yeah, you said it right there. He was sacked more in 7 games than Louisville quarterbacks were all last year. So, and we saw what Miller can do with time in the bowl game 2 years ago. We saw
it's very obvious.
Yeah. So
I try not to go back to that too much, just because it hurts everything in my soul. The Pounders right here, that one's kind of sticks out to me.
Yeah.
I feel like, which granted, I've not seen a lot of tape on offensive line from spring practice and stuff. I will be interested to see if he, like I said, this is from February. We're taking this with a grain of salt. But I'd be really curious to see how accurate Pounders is there at second.
Yeah.
All right. I think everyone's question marks. Let's get to defense. You guys want to start? Might as well start with the defensive line. Why not? It's first on the list, and that's where, everything defense related comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Demon Clowney, we can go ahead and strike that off.
he did commit today, by the way.
South Carolina. Scar.
Yeah.
Who could have seen that coming?
Shocker. Can't say I'm surprised whatsoever. So
I've had 3 South Carolina buddies text me in the last hour about it. So
Brad said he'll see him one way or another.
Yeah.
Jordan Gerard, Lowry Lawson. I think you might see Conga get more play time somewhere in there. Personal opinion.
Jerry's going to be insane.
Yeah.
Jerry was really good at Abilene.
Yeah, his numbers were off the charts. You look at his tape. I remember back when he committed, it stands out. He stands out, and the first thing I remember asking myself is, why was he at Abilene Christian?
Yeah.
And it's just he's that kind of guy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's going to put on a little bit more weight. I think when he was at Abilene, he was a little bit smaller, but he's a bigger bodied guy. So I'm curious if he is going to put on a few pounds, or has put on a few pounds over the off season coming into the fall.
So my only little thing, and this isn't like a U of L specific thing. I'm not a big fan of depth charts for D-line. Pretty much everyone uses them so rotationally now. I think all 3 of those guys could be in D-tackle rotation. I think you could probably even have 1 or 2 more guys in that in a heavy rotation. But I don't disagree with any of that. I think all 3 of those guys are going to play quite a bit this year.
And I mean, we saw what they did last year. I mean,
Yeah.
you had Ashton
Yeah.
all over the field. So, they're going to move them around for sure.
Yeah, I just think Ashton might have set
That's
a very
different situation.
yeah, a very little very unrealistic expectation. You're not going to see a guy play the snap count that he played this year.
Yeah.
That's not
And a
normal
lot
for
of-
college football.
And a lot of Ashton's rotation was per request.
Mhm.
I would say, from everything I understand, I'm not trying to speak for Ashton by any means, but from my understanding, a lot of that came off of just wanting to show, that he could essentially hold his own at different positions.
Showcase some more skills.
Yep. Take that how you want it. But just from my understanding, that's what that was.
So, Brad, you mentioned getting a little bigger when we were talking about Jerry. You know someone that has gotten bigger over the course of the past 3 months? Adonjay. Have you boys seen pictures from spring practice?
That is a man.
Yeah, he's eating good, man. He's eating good. He's good.
And I think that's
full-blown man now.
that's the type of thing that, because so many of us have been so invested in basketball all spring that we're starting to go back and look at more now. I mean, we saw what Deuce did to his body, but you're going to see a lot of these guys who look completely different, and it's only going to allow your excitement level to grow. Like, I think if you ask just the average person, and it is a valid concern, but I think if you ask the average person, the secondary is probably one of the question marks about this team. But if you go and actually start to dig in a little bit, like a guy like JoJo Evans, I think he could be really good. Like, he came from Jacksonville State. Blake Ruffin, I mean, he's a Louisville kid from high school, went to Eastern Illinois, was out last year due to injury. That's another guy who people are going to forget that, he committed 2 years ago, but they're going to remember, that name pretty quickly, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, Corey Gordon's another one from Baylor. I mean, he's a ball hawk.
Yeah, but you still got Day McCullough. Like, he committed from Oklahoma in last year's portal.
Right. Him and Ruffin were in that same class. So, D'Angelo Anderson or Hutchinson, sorry. I mean, that's another one where, we saw a little bit more out of him last year. I mean, Ramon Mosby, we saw what he did in the bowl game. He was all over the field. And he's only going to be – I don't know how many games he played in last year, so I'm not sure if he was able to keep his red shirt.
I think he red shirt.
Yeah. So, I mean, either way, you've got a young group there. But if you look at this, this part of the defense, Ramon Mosby is going to be a fan favorite very, very quickly. And I think people forgot how good he was in the bowl game. But much like, Josh and I love to talk about Antonio Watts, like Ramon Mosby is going to be that guy here very, very soon.
Yeah, no, I can see it. You're hovering over it. My little thing is, you go.
Right here.
Right there.
Zero questions.
Bring Darius Thomas in the mix real quick. I got something I want to say. So all of your defense runs through your linebacker room. All right, yep. It does 100%. And any question marks I have, I can tell myself and go back to the linebacker room making up a lot of holes, if that makes sense. Stanquan Clark's one of the best guys over the middle in the country. Like, that's not a hot take. He is one of the 5 best middle linebackers in the country. TJ Capers, which he's going to play this year, he's going to see significant snaps. Former 5-star, if you didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be rushing a lot. When he subs in, if you're having issues on your D-line depth or you're having issues with your front-line D-line getting in on their stunts, you have TJ Capers. TJ Quinn, again, not crazy to say, he's a top 15 guy in the country. That's not insane to say.
One of, if not towards the top of the linebacker rooms in the country.
And
he's
then
very
this,
underrated coverage. Like he's very good at dropping into his zone, being able to play his spot.
yeah, yep. And that's where I was going to go. Also, Caleb Perry after him, not a bad guy at all. Not bad at all. He's very flexible. He's very versatile. He can rush. He can play man. He can zone out. He can do a lot. He can read. I love Caleb Perry. The freaking star room. Remember the name Darius Thomas. We've talked about Antonio Watson enough on this show. We've went on multiple Antonio Watts rants. Again, at that star, which is hard to track because it's a 4-2-5 thing. That star backer scheme, Antonio Watts is one of the best in the country doing it. Darius Thomas behind it is your next Antonio Watts. Get ready to know that name. That kid's going to be an all-star. But yeah, Watts, again, you can bring him off the outside, do a freaking weird, like, bring him off, like, man him up on, like, a slot, for example, then bring him inside on, like, a rush. Like, you can do so much with him, which we've seen him do. He's an excellent in coverage. Like, all of your issues, whether it be coverage, whether it be rush, like, you can fill those gaps with your linebacker room. And luckily, you have one of the better linebacker rooms in the country.
And the big thing, I was Darius Thomas is one of my big favorite pickups from the portal class this year. And like those of you guys, it's been a while. Dude had 54 tackles, 4 sacks, and a forced fumble last year. I mean, literally, if you go watch the tape, he fills kind of to hit on what Josh was saying. He fills that star backer role perfectly. And he's a sophomore.
Yep.
He's gonna be a junior now.
Going into
Yeah, but he was a sophomore putting up those numbers at a decent WKU team.
Yeah, they weren't bad.
No.
See, I mean, the top end of the CUSA last year was not a bad league.
No, not by any means. So I have no concerns about the linebacker room. Kind of James alluded to, secondaries where I get a little.
Yeah.
I want to put you onto a name I want to talk about real quick. We played him last year. Jabari Mack is a name I think the fan base needs to remember. It was a pickup that we got that some people may have thought we got a DB. He is going to play significant snaps this year, and don't be shocked if he has a chance to possibly lead the team in interceptions. He's a ball hawk.
No, 100%. He Jacksonville, JSU.
Yeah,
See the JSU.
Yeah.
JoJo was the FIU kid.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's the two I was getting mixed up. No, I'm here for it. Like I said, I've not dove into the secondary a lot. Just haven't had time. But that is, I would say, my one question mark.
Again, and it just comes back to how much have you played is my thing. And
yeah, it's more so experience than anything.
Yeah,
I'm at the higher level.
And I'm willing to I'm willing to give G5 kids the pass all the time because G5 snaps are just as valuable as P4 snaps, which there's a lot of G5 snaps on here. The one thing that I will say that we might be overlooking outside of Clemson, there's not a lot of very talented wide receiver rooms we're playing this year.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
The ACC's down on overall wide receiver talent. Now Clemson, they got a pretty damn good wide receiver room.
SMU
But for the most, I kind of disagree a little bit. But they're okay. They're okay. But yeah, I mean, I think get some more reps for these kids. See how tomorrow night goes, and let's possibly reevaluate.
And it shouldn't have to be said, but remember the spring game, you're going to see big plays. So don't freak out when the quarterbacks throw 5 touchdowns for 50 yards. I mean, it's going to happen. And we saw what Chris Bell did to the secondary last year, and Antonio Meeks, for example.
Well, I mean, like I know you kept up with the. I don't mean to get off topic. You kept up with the Clemson spring game. Everyone's upset because apparently Klubnik looked awful. It's like, dude, Klubnik's still one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Like, you're still gonna start him.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he's never had a good spring game at Clemson, by the way. So
Yeah, I believe it.
he did take the college football playoff, so he's got to pass.
Let's look at them safeties.
I'm telling you, if you go back and you look at Ruffin when he was at Eastern Illinois, like he can play. I mean, he's all over the field. His numbers at Eastern Illinois, if y'all want to look at, they were pretty good. And I mean, he was a guy. I think he was one of the first guys they got in that the 24 portal class. So 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was a local kid, came back home. A lot of people were excited about that pickup. So I think you're going to see him play. Unfortunately, for injury reasons, he didn't play last year. So I think hopefully he's progressing well, and hopefully we'll be able to see him a little bit on the field tomorrow.
So my question for you guys, a common sentiment that I've seen online and that I've gotten from a lot of people's opinions that I respect, they're not as concerned about safeties specifically as they are cornerbacks. Would you guys agree?
Yeah. Based on or go ahead.
I was gonna say I need to see something on the field. I just think that when you're losing the amount of production at cornerback as we are, I need to see something happen before I lean either way.
Yeah, I get that sentiment.
Yeah. And we'll definitely know after tomorrow a little bit. I don't think we'll know enough tomorrow to have a full picture, but after tomorrow we'll begin to know, I think, a little bit more about the room there.
Yeah. So I got a. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I don't think we'll know anything. I mean, after last year's spring game, we didn't know anything.
I think you're going to see guys like Corey Gordon really show what they are, who led Baylor in interceptions last year.
Yeah. So, potentially touchy question in regards to the secondary. Do you think that Tavon Holloway comes back to the team?
I think that's one that's up to Jeff, and I'm like,
yeah,
I agree.
No clue. I think that I could 100% see this entire staff saying absolutely not, just for everything that occurred, whether it be the actions that little actions that led up to the actions. Or I could see them kind of going to the side of don't let it happen again. I don't know. I genuinely I don't know. I don't remember if I posted. I said something about it the other day, and I was like, I don't know. I have no clue.
Yeah.
And this is just me guessing here, but this could be something that we don't know about till maybe in the summer. I mean, one way or another. So
it wouldn't surprise me, because the one thing that he's not in the portal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think people understand that. He's still enrolled at U of L, from my understanding. He's just not on the football team. Yeah. I'm not going to speculate on it. I don't know. And like you said, James, I think it's a Jeff and Jeff alone decision. I'm not going to speculate on it. I'll be honest. I wouldn't say no.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't just write it for completely on the field reasons. I wouldn't say no, but there's a lot more that goes into that conversation than just on the field.
Yeah.
100%.
He won you the Georgia Tech game.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys. Going back to the offense, when was the last time we felt this good about the depth of the quarterback room? Not just your starter, but I'm talking about the depth of the quarterback room.
It's been a very long time.
I don't know if I've ever been this confident about the depth of the quarterback room.
I'm more so, and it was more of a trick question because I was more so thinking just your 1 and 2. But if you obviously go to 3 and 4, like
If you go full
good room.
depth, like I don't think I've ever been this. I mean, you're talking
Yeah,
Mims
I've
all the
ever
way
been
up
confident.
to Miller Moss.
I don't think I've ever. Yeah, 1 to 4. I don't think I've ever been this confident.
Because
No.
obviously in 23 we had one option.
Yep.
Last year, say what you want, we had one option.
Yep.
And this year we've seen the development.
Scott Satterfield, he didn't recruit quarterbacks.
Yeah,
we didn't
Scott,
have
we had one
quarterbacks.
option.
Before
Every
that,
now
it
and then
was
we had
Lamar.
Conley.
Yeah.
I mean,
And then you had Teddy.
like,
Yeah, I'm like it.
Well, I mean, at least with the Lamar room, you had oh my God, you had Jordan Travis, you had Khan.
Yeah, that's fair.
You had
yeah. So
you had Khan.
in
You had
2018,
Malik
yeah,
or McHale.
yeah. In 2018, you had a pretty good room, but it
Yeah.
just was very young because you had
Yeah.
Puma, Malik, and Jordan Travis. And then in 2019, you had Puma, Malik, Evan Conley, but you saw
Okay.
more of Malik and Evan Conley.
Yeah.
But even then, I mean, once Malik took over that job, it was a one quarterback room for the longest time. And I think this is the first year where if you ask yourself, well, what if something happens? Where do we turn? I think you're confident enough for the first time in a very long time that number 2 will be ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think my talking directly about the spring game, I know some people are a little upset that it's not on TV. Obviously, the reason they do it is to protect their film and to protect their players from potential suitors. Boys, I'm honestly a little happy Deuce Adams isn't going to be on primetime television.
Yeah, same.
Because I think Deuce Adams would be starting at a Power 4 next year if he was.
Yeah.
We love Deuce Adams. We want to keep him here.
Deuce is going to be
That
starting.
being saying.
Deuce is going to be starting at a Power 4 next year.
No, like this year.
Oh,
yeah.
This year, yeah. Like I think
possible.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if you put him on primetime television, one scout sees that because he's going to play a lot in the spring game. Just throwing that out there. But yeah, I saw that. I was like, it might not be a bad thing.
So I do want to ask y'all this real quick. I don't know if y'all saw Mark Ennis's tweet earlier today, but this is more so just not Ross related, more so just schedule related. But Tennessee and Georgia Tech, they announced the home and home, but he threw a nugget out there that Ole Miss coming into this year, y'all know we had the James Madison game was scheduled late.
Mm-hmm.
Louisville had reached out to Ole Miss to schedule that game for this year, but Ole Miss had decided to go elsewhere and schedule Washington State instead. I wanted to get y'all's thoughts on, obviously the next 2 years we've got some tougher non-conference games than we've had the past 2. But it would have been cool to see Ole Miss come to Louisville. I'm not gonna lie, it would have been pretty cool. I just didn't know if y'all saw that.
You get Pierce Clarkson coming back to town week 3.
But
yeah. I mean, I think in today's day and age, I don't really know if the non-con is worth it with the 12 team, and especially what we saw a lot of the selection committee this past season.
Yep.
It definitely would have been cool. Like, I'm never gonna say no. I'll play an SEC team every week, but me in the SEC, I'll be happy as hell.
Yeah, I mean, I've been pretty straightforward with it. Now that we're 12 teams, get your 3 wins, move on.
I guess the one thing with that is, I would say this year, maybe next year, you start to see some, I guess, non-conference realignment because, like Josh said, you just don't. Evidently, that doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So why go out and do that to yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's cool once every few years to play one of those primetime opening weekend games in Atlanta or wherever it may be. But most years, I'm happy with the way the schedule is this year. Get your 3 bye games and beat Kentucky at the end of the year, and try to take care of business there. But I know we haven't really. And if y'all aren't prepared to answer this, that's fine. But I was looking at it earlier, and James and I had talked about it briefly a couple weeks ago. But if you look at the schedule, what is one game where you look at the schedule and maybe a team that the majority of the country is not necessarily talking about right now, but could possibly be a version of this year's SMU or Louisville version 2023, like a team that could come out of nowhere and give you some challenges.
So me and you agreed on this. That California team's got a 5-star quarterback. They get Jaden Ott back. Defensively, it may be rough, but they can put up some points on you. So if your defense doesn't come to play, that could be a shootout. It could be a sneaky game because it's sandwiched right in between of you, like Clemson, SMU, and Miami. It's an awkward position in the schedule, and that could be a slip up. Hopefully not, but that's a team that I think could win 8-9 games.
And don't let them fool you. Justin Wilcox is a great defensive-minded coach. They've had some really good defenses over the years, and like the Auburn game last year, the offensively, that football game was as ugly as you can be. But Cal won that game with 5 turnovers on defense. They generated 5 turnovers. And they had a pretty good class come in. So like if we're talking teams that the average football fan's not even going to worry about, I mean, Cal's that team, in my opinion, just like you said, where it's sandwiched on the schedule, in the heart of that November schedule. That's one game that kind of worries me on April 10th compared to your Clemson's, Miami's, SMU's, games like that. More so
I'll
that
say
you're not
this.
really worried about.
Some of the fan base won't agree with this, but it's true. I'm more concerned on April 10th of California than I am Miami.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
boy, we could have a 2-hour conversation about this.
Ooh.
guys,
yeah.
Max can tell you, we did our shows last year. Like, man, I was more worried about Stanford in last summer than I was any of SMU, Clemson, Kentucky. Like, it's those games where you really start to look at the schedule and your team's going to be ready for Clemson. They're going to be ready for Kentucky. They're going to be ready for Miami. But it's those games that you just completely overlook in the springtime. And James and I had talked about it, but Cal was the team that he and I both kind of agreed on. So I was just curious what you guys thought as we kind of look at the schedule in April.
Let's pull the schedule up. How about that?
I can give my answer now while you do that.
Go for it.
Okay.
I think Cal, they're going to be a decent team. I'm going to be honest. I don't think they won more than 7 games. Watch out for James Madison. So James, and I know that this is a stupid cop-out because everyone wants to, fucking hot take. No. So James Madison is very easily going to compete for the Sun Belt. That league's going to come down to App, it's going to come down to South, and it's going to come down to JMU. If JMU gets hot in the SBC, all right, which they're not going to be a bad team. They're well coached. They got a good quarterback coming in. They're going to be good. I mean, they put up 70 points on North Carolina last year. We need to recognize that.
Yeah.
All right. At North Carolina. Granted, North Carolina, terrible football program. Bill Belichick doesn't change much. But anyway. James Madison will compete for a college football playoff spot this year. Tulane is not as good as they normally are. And I'm getting into a lot of the G5 stuff, so I'm sorry. Tulane is not the Tulane of old. Summerall, he's still a great coach, but man, they're struggling to retain players. I mean, we just saw their quarterback go to Duke. Yeah.
They lost so much.
Tulane, the AAC, I don't think that they produce the G5 rep. I think it's going to come down to the Sun Belt. Because one thing we've seen with the selection committee, they don't value overall team when it comes to the G5. The only thing they value is, did you win your conference? Did you win 11-plus games?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be crazy to see a Liberty get it. It wouldn't be crazy to see a Sun Belt team get it. I mean, out of the Mountain West, Boise's going to be taken. They're going to take a decline. You know what I mean? And it was weird last year because Boise was so dominant for a G5 that we didn't see it. But it's like years previous when you had the Liberty, Oregon fiasco. You have all these things happen. That James Madison, man, do not sleep on them. They showed you what their colors were last year when they dropped 70 on North Carolina and Chapel Hill. They have a very reasonable shot to compete for the G5 spot in the college football playoff. Just don't sleep on them.
I like that. It caught me off guard, but I like that. That's a hell of an answer, and I don't have anything to disagree or rebuttal with.
Speaking of that, check out a Group of Five Guys podcast. Great show about G5 football.
They have one of the best young coaches in the game too. By the way, He's going to be the next superstar. He came from Holy Cross after Singeti took the Indiana job. He's a dude. I mean, he's a guy. It won't be long till he's at the Power 4 level.
No.
All right, let's close the show out. Let's go over the schedule. Just look forward a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean 141 days, 3 hours, 1 minute, and 58 seconds. I love that. Anywho, kick it off with EKU. I mean,
52-0. Nick.
I think it's going to be one of those scores that's going to be, it could be like 59-3. Or it could be an insane score. Hopefully it is.
Yeah.
I think in the last 4 years, Brom has played an FCS school. He's scored over 50 and held them under 7. So,
James Madison, September 5th. Be there. Josh says be there.
You get them on a short week.
Yeah.
I'm more concerned about James Madison than half of our conference schedule. Like, honest to God.
Look, I'm gonna be completely honest. I hadn't thought about it the way you just explained it or put it out there, and I'm now mortally terrified of JMU. Because if that's a loss that early in the season against, and I mean this as respectfully as possible, like a sub opponent, that could take the season off the rails real quick, and I don't like that.
As we get closer
Bowling
to the season, I would love to have a JMU person on.
We can do that.
Very easily. I would love that conversation.
Yeah. 100%.
Bowling Green's another one, dude. You don't know what you're going to get. Is Eddie Graham their new head coach?
Eddie George, yeah.
Eddie George, yeah. You don't know what you're going to get. They've definitely seen an uptick in talent, but they're not as well off as JMU.
And if that's one of those things where if there's not a coaching search in February, then maybe it's another one of those games that you have to actually worry about. Because remember, I mean, guys, they gave Penn State everything they wanted last year.
They did.
But then, obviously, early spring coaching search, I'm not near as concerned about that, especially with the week. So
yeah.
Pitt.
That's a game that I'm worried about just because the last 2 times we went up there, we haven't played the greatest. And it's our first road game of the year. I think we should win.
I just hope it's not dropping 5 inches of rain an hour.
Yeah.
Well,
it's at least a September game, thank God.
The only thing that makes me concerned about Pittsburgh, obviously defensively they've been really good the last few years, physical team. But if Eli Holstein is back and healthy, that's a very good quarterback.
He is.
Yeah, he's a dog.
Yeah. Old Virginia.
I got some takes about Virginia. I gotta get this off my chest real quick. I'm gonna go on a rant. I've seen a lot of people say that, Virginia, they're gonna be improved. They got a bunch of 3-star guys out of the portal. It's Virginia.
With a bunch of 3-star guys out of the portal.
With a bunch of 3-star guys.
It's Virginia in Louisville. It's not
Yeah.
Road. So because we've never played well there anyway. But it's
at home at least.
Yeah.
I don't buy any of the Virginia hype that I've seen.
Is Virginia the game before the bye? Or is it after?
And
Yeah, it's a
now,
bye.
for anybody that forgot, this is our last bye of the year. So early
Yep.
October, that's our second bye week.
Yep.
Thanks, ACC.
So
But-
Miami, or at Coral Gables, sorry, but at Miami, off the bye. I'll take that.
Yeah.
I don't
We're-
know.
we're gonna-
I'm not 100. I'm not 100% confident in Louisville off a bye.
We're gonna get more into all this over the summer, but there's some thoughts about that Miami game.
Mhm.
Look for the deep dive later.
I could do a whole video just on the Miami game.
Boston, Boston College. I mean,
Hey man, it's I'm Bill O'Brien's a hell of a coach.
he is.
You know.
You saw an improved Boston College last year.
Mhm.
I'm not crossing it off the list, but I still just don't think that they're going to be competing at the top of the ACC.
Yeah, I don't think the talent is there, but the coaching definitely is. It's one of those games you can't sleep on.
Yeah.
and they
I
don't
look
have
for-
Thomas Castellanos that you have to worry about.
Who is their
No.
quarterback this year?
They
I
don't.
don't know.
I don't think they know.
I don't know if they could do it. Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah,
know
I
if they
don't
could
think
do it.
they know who their quarterback is.
Um,
I'm just glad it's not Castellanos.
O'Brien, I could see not being at BC for long term. And
Yeah.
not in a negative way. You can just only do so much there.
I don't mean to do the whole actually, but I think he will be. He had to take the BC job out of some outside of football circumstances, if you don't remember.
Oh yeah.
He was originally signed for the Ohio State OC job.
Yeah.
He took it and then walked away a few weeks later due to some personal issues. Nothing against Bill, just some family issues that he needs to be in Boston.
Yeah, we talked about that. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
We shall see.
Yep.
I mean, here's the thing: if he can get them a winning record every year, they're perfectly content.
Yep.
Mhm.
They'll pay him for it.
And this is where you get into the meat and the potatoes.
This one, I have a very high likelihood that I'm going to be in Blacksburg for this game.
I think the plan is to do a CC road trip for that game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
It
I'll be
is.
home.
I told Brad to find the location and we'll all go in.
Yeah.
We can get a an Airbnb.
That's going to be the one road game that Louisville fans flock to
Yep.
this year because we haven't played there since we've been in the ACC. It's going to be one of those that fans flock to, and Louisville's going to have a lot of people there, and it's going to
And
be
it's not really a bad drive from Louisville either.
no, it's I think 6 hours from Louisville.
Yeah. For the ACC, that's reasonable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I think that's going to be a really, really fun road trip. Especially, I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. I mean, which a lot of people think you can be, if you're undefeated going to Miami and you take care of business in Miami, that's when things get real serious. And
Yeah.
that Virginia Tech game only means that much more if that's the case. So
Yeah. If you leave Miami undefeated, you're going to be sitting in like that top 7, top 6 territory at that point of the year.
yep.
So more info on VTech road trip.
There's a cow. Its
We'll
position
see.
schedule is what makes them as scary as they are. It's not who they are as a team because they're going to be a very competent team. They're going to be about middle tier in the ACC, but they have so much quality in where they are. They're very easy to possibly you're going to look ahead and they can jump on you, and that's what worries me about them.
If I remember correctly, it's not. It's going to Plattsburgh and coming back to Cal wasn't my concern. I haven't looked at the schedule in a minute. I believe yes. This was my concern. That
Yeah.
it's you're going Virginia Tech, Cal, Clemson. I knew that's what I was thinking.
And it's really the final 3.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
because next is Pony Show.
yeah.
And then the slapdicks.
Yeah. This is where I get concerned. And you can honestly like going to Virginia Tech. Like Virginia Tech could be shit, but like that is a top college environment every single game.
Yep.
But this is genuinely where I do get concerned. I wasn't so much leaning as much concern for Cal as I was Clemson and then going to Dallas personally.
Yeah, so I'm more so leaning towards the going to Dallas part. I would be honest, I'm not that concerned about Clemson.
No.
I think Clemson's a really, really good football team. I think they have one of the best quarterbacks in the country. They have a really good wide receiver room. Their running back room just shined in their spring game. Little questionable on the defense, but they're dealing with a lot of injuries right now through spring ball. But that game's on Friday night.
Yeah.
Like that, and that's kind of my thing where I'm like, okay, Louisville on Friday night at L&M against another top 10 team. Like I'm not
I see you there.
that yeah, it's like okay, that's kind of you're stacking it for Louisville. Like thank you ACC, you didn't have to do that much for us.
I mean, that's also another CC road trip. Everybody
What-
meet up at L&M.
What was the? Oh
I
yeah,
think-
Friday.
Yeah.
Miami was the other Friday game, and then what? JJ?
Yeah.
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 So it's like, you know, the Clemson game, like I know they're gonna be ready to go at Dallas. Because I'm gonna be honest, I think SMU they're gonna be good. They got Kevin Jennings, you know, I don't think they're gonna be last year SMU.
No.
And I think that the whole like SMU surprising you factor is done. They're not gonna surprise anyone.
Yeah, they surprised everybody last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah. I mean, I had that game as a good game. I did not have the game as a loss last year.
and I told a couple people this, but you break it down like this: Clemson, Miami, SMU. You find a way to win two of those, you're in Charlotte. Unless you have any unforeseen slip ups, you take care of business in the games you should win, and you win two of Clemson, SMU, Miami, you are in Charlotte. Period.
Yep.
So it's pretty cut and dry. So,
And then the last game on the schedule, this isn't even me being like a Louisville fan. I genuinely don't know if Kentucky's going to win 4 football games this year.
I mean, the best.
I think
pickup
this could be
they
Mark
got
Stoops.
was
This could be Mark Stoops' last game coaching the University of Kentucky.
I agree. Like, they're
or
If he's
first
still
down.
there by then.
the only
Or-
solid portal pickup, if I remember correctly. That like I was like, oh, that's a good pickup. Was Stellato?
Well,
Yeah, they got Stellato.
They got Kendrick Law too.
Yeah,
Yeah, they got Stellato and Law.
Yeah. Okay. Forgot about that.
I mean, they're about to lose a few guys to the portal.
yeah.
And here's the other thing, and you know, as much as I hate him, I will say this: the years where you aren't expecting anything out of Stoops, he does overperform.
Yeah,
So
He does. He does.
and overperform for them this year can mean winning 7 games. But
Yeah.
you know, I don't know.
The issue with
a
the SEC
4-win
is it
team
could
or a
also mean
7-win team.
It's just my issue this year with Stoops and that is just I haven't seen the roster this incomplete at Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. It's not that it's a bad roster, it's just very incomplete. Along with that, the entire SEC, the top half of the SEC is getting so much better.
Mm-hmm.
Which is scary.
Yes,
It's scary.
As a college football fan, you should be scared of that.
Like, oh man. But
I know the last time I looked into it, just really quick to jump back to SMU, like the last consensus I saw was like predicting, and I was really hesitant on one of these, but I had SMU at like 10-2 this season. The 2 losses I know it was TCU because it's at TCU, and then Clemson because it's also in Death Valley.
Mhm.
And I believe that might be a Friday night game. If
I think they have
remember.
our over under at 8.5 right now, and I'm hammering that over.
Oh yeah, get in
I'll
on
take
that.
that over all day.
Get in on that right now.
And
Yeah.
as more so as a conference speaking for the ACC, I think you're going to have one of your best years as a conference you've had in a little while because you've got Clemson obviously going to be right up there. Louisville's going to be up there. SMU's probably going to be up there again. Miami, we don't know, but they very easily could be in that top half of the league for sure, maybe top 4 in the league. But then there's your teams like that. We'll see what happens with the Virginia Techs of the world. They've kind of been on that 6-7 win bubble for the longest time. It feels like now. There's no way Florida State is anywhere near what they were last year. They could be a 7-win team. They could possibly be an 8-win team. They did have, as far as incoming talent goes, they did have a pretty good class, all things considered. Will it work? I don't know. Their quarterback position is what it is.
They could also win 4 games very easily.
They could. Yeah. Like, that's the thing about them. They probably have got the widest range of possible outcomes of anybody in the league. So, but realistically speaking, I mean, the ACC this year's got 4 teams that you can say right now that you could put in that playoff discussion. And I think come football season, you that could be 2, that could be 5. I mean, this year the ACC could surprise a lot of people, or it could be the same old, same old. I think the league as a whole is getting a lot better, though.
I think
one more. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say what? Oh, okay. You go.
The 2 teams that you had the most question marks going into the season are both coached by 2 NFL guys. So right now you got Stanford and you got North Carolina. And if ever the middle half of the ACC performs the way they should, not the way it went last year, you're looking at a top 3 conference in the country again.
That's fair.
Yeah. Do not sleep on Georgia Tech.
Yeah, exactly. That's another team. They're going to be like that team that I think gets some media love at the ACC Media Days.
Yeah.
Like somehow NC State gets that love every year for whatever reason. This will probably be the year that I think a lot of people are surprised in how much attention Georgia Tech is getting.
So the only downfall with Georgia Tech is, dude, their schedule's rough.
Oh, it is.
If you look at theirs, it is a rough schedule, which is typical for them because I mean, you play Georgia every year, then you schedule a second SEC team every year, and yeah. But I mean, you got Haynes King, man. He's good as hell. I believe Rutherford's coming back this year also. Just watch out for Georgia Tech, dude. They are building a legitimate program down there in Atlanta.
Yeah. So we'll see. I'm glad we don't play them, but
before we get off here,
yes,
I know we're trying to get off here. I just want to give my spring game disclaimer. All right,
do it.
So this is the spring game disclaimer. I feel like this needs to be said every time. You're going to watch a glorified practice tomorrow night. Okay? There's no reason to overreact about if the defense looks better than the offense or the offense looks better than the defense or, oh, Colin Lacey looked amazing. That means our secondary is awful. You know what I mean? No reason to be super reactionary. Like, there's a lot of positives to take away. If a certain skill group looks good, the the opposite one, it doesn't mean that they're awful. You know what I mean? So just be a little calm with that. We haven't really talked about it much on the show. We've been trying to avoid the topic. Guys are going to enter the portal after this weekend. I mean, we're already seeing it in the whole college landscape. You know, guys have really started bumping up into the portal in the past 48 hours. It wouldn't surprise me. There's probably some guys like right now at 9 o'clock on Friday night that have already made the decision for UVL to enter the portal after the spring game because they got depth charts. Yeah, it's how college football is now, dude. It's a normal thing. It's not an indictment on the coaching staff or a guy individually. You know, so just try to respect those kids' decisions as much as possible. It's what's best for them. And starting next week, it's portal time. You know, and we're finalizing the roster. So just get ready.
Absolutely. So, and that's the other thing. It's kind of hard to get a full full vision of the schedule because the rosters aren't in place yet. Things are going to change a lot over the next couple of weeks, and so I think, this same time come June, we can probably have that discussion more so what the schedules, what the record's going to look like, and things like that. But it's going to be fun. I mean, we're going from basketball portal full into spring portal for football. So
Yeah, it definitely feels like when we just did that schedule breakdown, we talked a lot about theoreticals, right? Give it 2 weeks, those aren't theoretical conversations anymore.
Right.
Those are just, this is your roster, let's figure it out. So yeah, it's coming. We're almost there.
I mean,
so something that we didn't think we could say early December. We got both of the Browns back, boys.
Is that their alumni?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Past and present.
Yeah, the alumni event tonight.
I love it.
Yeah. It's awesome, man. But I believe we'll talk to you guys again this weekend.
I will be out of town this weekend, but
I think we're shooting Saturday, won't we, Josh?
Yeah. We'll have something this weekend. Next week, stay flexible because we're kind of moving at the speed of the portal. On the horizon, obviously, we have more baseball content coming. We're going to have another pretty good little football high school show coming up on the horizon. Got some interviews lined up for this summer, so it's going to be a fun summer. And we should have basketball content sometime soon.
Hopefully.
Keep following the Rewind series. We got an episode coming up.
Yep. Yeah, we got Rewind series. That'll be coming soon. So, a lot of fun content.
Yep. Yeah. The Rewind series, we tried to have a guest for every episode, which is something that's super cool. But we're trying to just kind of get that rolling back again. But yeah. Any last thoughts, anybody?
Happy Masters weekend.
Yes.
For all the golfers out there.
Yes.
Remember the spring games at 6 o'clock. It's not 7. I know we said it earlier, but if you didn't catch that.
Yeah. Spring game, one of my favorite events, really kind of signifies that it's almost time. Congratulations, Pat Kelsey. Congratulations on the extension. Congratulations.
Much deserved. Much deserved.
Very much deserved. And it's very refreshing seeing Josh Hurd talk about conference realignment publicly.
You would say that right now.
Blunt. He was blunt.
If y'all did not see his comment,
I'm just shocked it took an hour and 20 minutes for Josh to say.
If anybody out there did not see that comment, it's very eye-opening.
Oh, dude, I love it. I've seen like 15 of these Big 12 accounts also like, oh, does this mean Louisville's like, no, dude, we're not going to the fucking Big 12. Fuck off. We're trying to get somewhere better right now, man.
Yeah.
But
I'm trying to make lateral moves.
Yeah.
And that wasn't just your typical coach AD speech nonsense that you hear. There was some hidden context there. So I'm not trying to break anything. There have been discussions behind doors for a long time, and it is just very, very telling that a very blunt statement publicly. Very, very telling. I mean, there are schools in this conference that have been very open about it.
Yes.
And just as a landscape in general in all of college sports, this is a conversation that's happening with schools every single day. I mean, you see the FCS schools willingly just saying we're moving up for reasons that include money, but that's what it all boils down to. So
I need to share one thing.
Alignment is never done.
I need to share one thing that's not Louisville football related or football related or Louisville related at all. But there's just scroll across and I love everything about it. King Griffey Jr. is a credentialed photographer at the Masters this year.
He is.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Radio today. Yes.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful right there. Look at
that's
that
awesome.
smile. I'd probably be smiling like that if I was at the Masters too. All right, guys. We will be back this weekend. We'll post time because I don't think any of us know an exact time right now. But we'll try to make it best time for everyone, including you as the viewers. So Other than that, as always, go Cards.
Go Cards.
Go Cards.
Go Cards, baby.